record button. And like I said, on your screen, you've got your NearPod code. You would just go to nearpod.com, and there should be on your screen a place to enter the course, the code, and that's exactly what you would do for your kiddos if they were joining you live in your lesson. And then, of course, you're going to have to kind of train your kiddos to use their name here. The good news is you can kind of see who's joined and who hasn't joined, and you can kind of, practice with them on getting out, exiting the presentation, and that's putting your correct name. But that's one of those kind of teach pieces. So anyway, once they get their name in, they'll click Join Lesson. All right, so what I'm going to do here, guys, is I have my iPad mirrored to my computer because I wanted y'all to see what a teacher sees on this side versus what a student sees on this side. So it's going to be a little bit small. Is everybody feeling okay with seeing the screens? Feeling all right? Okay, good. All right. So what we are going to do is we are going to experience a NearPod lesson with some embedded activities, and then we're going to look at the report feature to kind of help us determine whether we're in the moment of instruction, what we're getting as that data, but also the reports in the background. And yes, as we go through this, I have Miss Jeanette in the background. She is helping me here. She's going to answer your questions. So she's going to man that chat for me. So if you have any questions, make sure you shoot those in the chat and she's going to help. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my iPad to kind of drive this over here. So I'm going to hit close, and remember, you guys are going to experience several activities. Best practices, you do not want to throw the kitchen sink at your kids here like I'm going to do with you. I'm going to literally show you most of the activities in NearPod today. But for you, I want you to think about what activities resonated with me. Think about one or two of these that might help your kids engage with you. One of the biggest challenges we're hearing now too is in those live lessons, we're staring at blank screens or those little mute buttons and maybe a name at the bottom, and kids aren't speaking up. And it's just kind of that fear. We see that too when we're hosting PD, is that a lot of teachers don't want to unmute. They'd rather use the chat, or they want to keep their screens kind of turned off. So how can I utilize something like this to bring that engagement back into my classroom and still capture some of that activity? So again, one or two of these activities is all you're really going to need in that opportunity for learning with your kiddos. All right, so we're going to jump right in by engaging the audience in just a quick question. So in terms of I'm getting ready to introduce you guys to NearPod, I want to see how comfortable you guys are with NearPod. So you'll see on the student view, this is what you guys are seeing, is how comfortable are you using NearPod. You as a student can answer any way that you want. You'll click any of these, and once you click submit, it will show you that you've submitted, and you're going to wait for me to move to the next screen. This is what the kids are going to see, and I'll tell them, guys, if you get that blue check, you're ready to go, and I'll be moving on in the next slide. What you guys are going to see on this side is what I'm seeing as a teacher on my iPad, because I'm driving this presentation on my iPad. I want to see who is or is not engaging. So if I showed this to my kids, they would see everybody's answer, which I don't necessarily want. But I can share the actual graph up here. So as kids are answering this question, I can see who answered what, where they are in terms of that quick litmus test. What do people really know about NearPod? And then I can kind of modify my lesson as I go through in that kind of introduction piece. I can share this chart out with you guys and have a little conversation. Guys, it looks like all of us are feeling pretty comfortable about this. And so we're going to just kind of hit some highlights today, okay? And then I can unshare that and move on to the next question. Maybe I want my kids to kind of get some more knowledge, prior knowledge, or just some more experience, or dive into some exploratory activities. So in this next piece, I'm going to take you guys on a little virtual field trip or to a website that I may want you to kind of peruse through and look for some information. So in our first explore activity, maybe you want to take your kids to the pyramids. So if you're on an iPad or you're on a mobile device, you'll pick up this iPad and you can move it around, and the kids will be able to experience going to the Sphinx, okay? And then, of course, on this side, I can pull this around. So if I'm on a Chromebook or on a desktop or laptop, the kids can explore and get kind of that firsthand knowledge of the pyramids. Okay. Having some discussions there, maybe that might encourage some kids to want to talk a little bit. And then, of course, after we're done with the pyramids, maybe I want to take them to a website. So you guys will have a website pop up. You can actually navigate everything on this site. So thinking in terms of maybe a History Channel site, or maybe you want them to go into the textbook, maybe you could bring that in. So just kind of helping the kids explore some of your content. Okay. All right, let me exit out of this. All right, now that we've done some exploration, we've had a little bit of time to talk, I want to capture the thought process of my kids. They're not speaking up still. They don't want to put anything in chat. Well, they're kind of scared of what their peers might think. So I'm going to ask you guys to maybe explain your thinking so that I, as a teacher, at least can maybe grab some of that thought process. So I'm going to give you a question. What have you learned so far about the program that maybe you didn't already know? Type or record your answer here. So kids could actually type, or they could click on the audio record option and record if they wanted to. So you guys could try either one of those, and then when you're done typing, you can hit submit. Now, if I was showing my teacher side, you'll notice on here, I can hide and unhide names. So if you're more comfortable showing answers, but for me as a teacher, sometimes I really want to see who's participating and those names are important to me, then again, I would have to be able to show names so that I know who's participating. But just know that on the teacher side, I can hide and unhide names at any time. Okay. Perfect. Now, one of the things you're going to notice when you're doing a live lesson is that some kids are going to answer immediately, others are going to take a lot more time. So this is a teacher-paced lesson. One of the things you have to kind of train your kids is giving them a little bit of a time limit and say, guys, submit something if you want to put here. If not, we're going to move forward, because you can't stay on here forever, right? So just know that when you're doing this live lesson, make sure that you're encouraging your kids to submit, or you're okay with them not submitting something, okay? I can also share this result. So even if I'm not sharing my teacher screen, but I'm sharing my student screen, at any point I can share somebody's answer by just clicking on the share button, and we could even engage in that. Like, I saw a lot of people who had this statement, guys. Let's talk a little bit about it. So even if my kids are engaging with me and talking, I can share responses, and I can almost carry on a conversation with myself, but utilizing what the kids put in that open-ended, and share that out with the kids. Now, what I have found when I do this with middle schoolers is they'll kind of jump, oh, that was my answer, right? Some will actually kind of pop up and want to tell you that that was theirs, or somebody will say, oh, can you share mine, miss? Can you share mine? They'll do that occasionally. So maybe that'll kind of encourage a little bit of those kids to, you know, open up in that live lesson. And then, of course, when I'm done unsharing, I'll unshare, and then I can move on to the next piece. All right. If this is a review and I want kids to kind of tell me what they know or show me what they know, I might want to elaborate. And one of my favorite tools for allowing kids to elaborate is the draw tool. You'll notice here that the directions are up here at the top. If you haven't already noticed too, there's a little speech bubble on every single slide. These are embedded oral admin, like it reads it for the kids if they need it. So if they click on that, they'll actually hear the directions. That is a feature that's embedded in NearPod. I didn't have to record that, it's done for me. But just to show you that you can record your own audio if you feel very strongly about that, you can embed audio recordings too in the directions. Now, if this is in your way, I like to tell the kids to hide the carrot, open the carrot, hide the carrot. If you need to get it out of the way, there's that little blue carrot that'll pop it up and down. So that's one of the reasons I like to show a student view in the present screen too, because I'm teaching them how to navigate the show. So it does take a little bit of talent to run both devices at the same time. But when I'm teaching the kids how to really interact with this, then I want them to see their view rather than my view at the time. All right. You'll see here that as you guys are creating your drawings, once you hit submit, I'll be able to see those drawings. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up a pen tool, and step 1 is right here. Step 2 is here. And I'm using a laptop to draw with and a mouse, but you know, the kids are a little bit savvier with that trackpad. They're pretty good. The draw tool does work better on a mobile device than it does on a Chromebook, but it works. It's okay. So you don't want to get super complicated drawings here, but the quick matching is kind of fun. Circle this on a map. Anything like that works really good here. All right, and then of course, when the kids are done, you want to encourage them to hit submit. And then as a teacher, you'll see on this side that I'm seeing everybody's submission. Some great quick feedback. I'm hitting the mark. Nobody's talking, but I'm getting their stuff, and I know that they're getting it now. I'm not just talking to the great void for 30 minutes, right? Or 15 minutes, whatever you're on for, okay? Yay, look at that. I like that. I'm going to share that one. Look, they put a heart. How fun. Yay. Okay, and then I'll unshare that. Okay, all right. And then of course, at some point, while I've got the kids engaged with me, maybe I do want to take just a quick moment to see where they are in terms of mastery. Now, again, these are my live learning kids, but it'll also help me if I want to kind of look at, did the kids get it or not get it? All right, so let's look at a couple of ways that I can capture some feedback and some more formative assessment data in here. All right, so I'm going to hit start the activity. You guys have 30 seconds. Let's see if you can, knowing what you know about NearPod, match these terms. So again, let's use that carrot to get it out of the way. And then as the kiddos look at this, they're going to match, what do you think the drawing icon looks like? If I were to include a drawing activity, what would that look like? So the kids are going to match up those items. If they get it wrong, it shows them. If they get it right, it blurs them out. Okay, oops, time's up. So I gave them a little bit of a time here. You don't have to put a timer on this. I chose to because I wanted to show you that that's one way to kind of pace this activity so kids don't sit here and play with this all day long. All right, but on the teacher end, you're going to see some really great feedback. How many times it took the kids and how many matches they made. So this one got 3 out of 4, but it took them 4 tries to get it. All right, so I'm really seeing how much they really got that information. And then if I need to, I can always go back and maybe do a little bit of a quick reteach. All right, now this is another fun one. This is another kind of evaluation tool. These are drag and drop. So I have created a quick fill in the blank, and the kids are just going to grab it and they are going to drop them into the box that it fits in and then click submit when they think they have the right answers. So you'll drag and drop those up there. I'm going to put a couple just in wherever. And then I'm going to click done. And it tells the kids immediately how many they got right and how many they got wrong. Okay, so we're getting that kind of quick feedback, even though maybe I'm not telling them immediately, they're getting it. Okay. All right. Okay, and then last but not least, this is always a fun one, especially when you're doing some review. This is time to climb. There's only 4 questions. We're not going to play this forever, but you can pick as a teacher. There's a couple of different themes here. So we're going to do, let's do space. And I'm going to turn off sound right now because I don't want to blow anybody out of the water. All right, so students, you get to pick your character. Which one do you want to be? I'm going to be the froggy. Okay, and on the teacher end, I am seeing the members start to join. Okay, and they'll pop in. Okay, I have names hidden right now, so I can turn those names back on. Perfect. And I'm going to hit start. All right. So this is what the kids should start seeing. So they chose their character and they have to hit start at the bottom. And they're going to be given their questions and you guys are going to pick those questions and you're going to race to the top of the moon. And if they don't answer, like I don't answer in the time limit, then it tells them what the right answer is and it pushes them forward. And you'll see here that there's a countdown for each one of these. Okay, we're only going to do 4 questions because I didn't want it to take too long. Aw, snap, see I got that one wrong. It tells me immediately. Okay. And then of course, like I said, we've got 25 seconds, but if everybody answers by the time before that 25 seconds, then it just pushes us forward, okay? And I believe you can set the time limit for each question if you want it a little bit lower, but I feel that the 25 seconds usually is enough. Okay.
Question, what if there's a kiddo who isn't answering? Can the teacher still move it along?
No, you can't. That's why that 25 seconds is there, because it gives everybody that much time and then it pushes everybody to the next question regardless of who has or hasn't answered. Yes. So, Perfect. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Okay, that was our last question. And then of course, everybody's gonna see who got first, second, or third place. I think this is our last question, right? Yay! Cool. So we have first, second, third. Cool. All right, so it's a real fun way to kind of bring the activity to a close, grab some great information, informative assessment data with your kiddos. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and exit this NearPod and we're going to take a look at those report features, and then I'm going to kind of go through how I created this and where you guys can go to get some of these templates and start from scratch. Okay, so if at the very top you'll click on that menu, that little black caret, that will exit you out of your NearPod. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close that screen, my iPad, and I'm going to come back here. Okay. So again, in my live lesson, of course, I'm seeing the data. I'm able to kind of address that right away, but I did want to show you that there is a really strong reports feature in NearPod. So I want to close that session out every period, and I want to launch a new session with my kiddos, and I'm going to show you that too, because I want these reports to be separated. I want my first period together, my second period together, my third period, right? I don't want to keep that code open all day because you will max out at some point. Okay, so I'll see I've launched this session at 10:42. I launched it at 3:30, and then again I launched it right now. So as a teacher, I can go into my report section, I can open that session up, and it's going to give me kind of that overview of what happened first period with the kids that showed up. I will have their name here. I will see how they participated across the board in each one of those activities. So it's going to give me a lot of great data. Okay, so like I have a kiddo that was here, Jeanette Campbell, no, I'm just kidding, in the background, but I'll be able to see that a kid was in my Zoom, but they never really engaged with me, so I might want to reach out to them. But this will be like some really great data. And then of course at the top I can break it down by activity. So if I wanted to really dive into that time to climb, I can do that. And then I can open up those reports and take a look at those reports individually. Okay, it'll give me overall data. Isn't that kind of cool? You have all this data sitting in the background for these kids. And then I can even look by question and see how well everybody did. Okay, so that's again in that report section of NearPod. And again, it will show you each session when it started, and you can pull that up individually. All right. So how I created that, there's two ways to create these NearPods in the program. And one is to, what I like to do is use my Google Slides. We all have these beautiful Google Slide lessons that we're handing our kiddos, and sometimes they do them, sometimes they don't. But if you can take those Google Slide lessons and embed them into a NearPod and place a couple of well-placed activities, you might be able to see kind of where your kids are at any place. So this is if I wanted to start a lesson here in NearPod. I had no Google slideshow, I had nothing built. I want to just build a NearPod and I can just put activities in. This here is if you wanted to build a lesson in slides. I don't have a slideshow, but I want to build in a slideshow. For most of you guys, you are going to want to start with, let me bring up that slide real quick. Here we go. Bring this, I'm going to bring this slideshow over. You are going to want to start with the actual Google slideshow. So you guys can actually do this with me if you want. If you have a slideshow ready to go, y'all can go ahead and have that open. And then the first thing you're going to want to do when you open these Google slideshows is you're going to want to make sure you have the add-on called NearPod. If you don't have the add-on, you're going to get it by going to Get Add-ons. Okay? And then it should be sitting right here in your add-ons. And then you'll click on Install. Mine's already installed, so it says uninstalled. So if yours is not installed, click Install. It'll take just a minute to come in. And then, of course, once it's installed, you'll find it on your add-ons. So you'll have to go back up to add-ons to launch it. Okay, so I'm going to go to add-ons, I'm going to go to NearPod, and I'm going to open NearPod. And what that's going to do is it's going to say, hey, do you already have a NearPod account that I can sync this with? And most of us already have our Google account synced. And I know I have a few people maybe from Zachary that are here. You guys will already have an account, so you do want to make sure that you have that synced to your Google one. If you have a paid campus account, this is super important that you connect it to Google, okay? So please make sure that you do that. All right. So what you'll do is, as you kind of work through your slides, you're going to decide what activities do I want to put into this slideshow to engage my learners. Remember, I wanted you to think about one or two of those activities, not all 500, because you only have a short window of time to engage with your kids. So you don't want to like overwhelm and you don't want to underwhelm, but you want to make sure that you pick just the right type of assignments. So if you'll scroll down this list, you'll see some of the ones that I put in that slideshow. Here's the Draw It. Okay, you can add a draw activity, and I'll show you how to convert your slides. There's also a convert the slide to draw, so I'll show you that. Here's that field trip. That was when I took you to the pyramids. I added that in there. For those of us that have vocabulary lessons, you can do that. But live learning, I don't find I use a lot of videos. It doesn't seem to work as good when I'm in live. That's the fill in the blank. There's my matching pairs. Keep going down. There's that open-ended. And then there's your poll question. And then there's your time to climb. So those were those activities that I had slid into this presentation. And you'll notice I didn't put all of them in there, but I wanted to pick the ones that I typically see teachers using a lot in their NearPods, and that gives you kind of the biggest bang for your buck. So let's say I want to slide a poll question in here for my kiddos. All I'm going to do is find that option in this wonderful little list, and I'm going to click on it. And NearPod's going to launch this, what do you want to say for your poll? And that's when I would add my question here and then add my options. Okay. You can add as many answers as you want. So if you had 4 choices, 3 choices, 2 choices, whatever, you can add however many you want. Here's that timer option. If I want to set this to have a timer and it closes the question, I can do that. But in my own teacher paste, I don't use the timer very often because I pace it. Here's where you can add media. So if I wanted to attach a picture to this or an audio recording or maybe even a video, I can actually do that here. So if I wanted them to refer to an image, I can click on this. Here are my options for adding some media to this question. So maybe I'm going to put a cat here and then hit save. That will attach a picture to this poll question so the kids have a frame of reference. And then of course, remember that poll question, you can have them either pick one or maybe you want them to do multiple. So you can actually allow them to select multiple options if you want. So that's how that works. And then when you're done, you hit save. Okay. So pretty much all of those activities work very similar. You are going to slide the activity between the slides, and then you have all of your options for adding media or setting a timer or putting in those different choices. If I want the kids to draw on my slide, let's say, for example, this is a map, and I want the kids to draw on this map. What I can do is I can actually turn this slide into a drawing, and that's where that convert to draw happens. So if again, this will turn the slide itself into something that the kids could write on top of. So I'm going to hit convert to draw. It'll take just a minute. And it will turn, there it is. Here we go. All right. So it will turn that slide into a draw slide. So it brings the image in and it lets the kids draw on top of it. So it'll add kind of a copy of the slide so you can preview it and then give them the activity to draw on. Okay. Now at any point as you're creating, you can come in and edit any slide. So let's say you're in the process but you don't finish and you want to edit, just know that you'll click on any slide that you want to edit and then you'll see your edit button on the side and that lets you edit those slides. Okay. Now here's the one like little trick to making all this work when you're ready to give this presentation to your kids. If you are in NearPod and you've built your lesson, whether you've come in here and you've made edits or you've added stuff, whatever it is, you always have to finish your slideshow by saying save and go to NearPod. If you do not do that, you won't have the most final copy sitting in your NearPod ready to be launched. Always, always, always end your edits with a save and go to NearPod. Okay. And depending on how long and how large your presentation is, it can take a little while to get this saved. This one kind of aired out on me one time when I had a couple of things going in the background. But once it's saved correctly, now you're going to, as a teacher, have the ability to launch this as a live lesson or as a student-paced lesson. So you'll have 2 options here, okay? Now, we talked about live already. That's what I did. I clicked on this button and I gave you guys that code. And that's how I was able to bring you in and I was able to paste it. Okay, but for those student pays, because we did talk a little bit about asynchronous, what about the kids that didn't join me? Do you want them to have this same experience? Now remember, you're not talking them through this lesson, so you have to judge. Do you need this lesson or you don't self-paced? But you click on that self-paced item. And then here's where you're going to find the direct link to that student-paced lesson. Now remember, if you need a self-paced lesson for every period, you have to repeat this process and post it in Schoology for each period, okay? You only get in the free version I think it's 30 kids. Jeanette, you may have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 30 participants in either the live or the self-paced. So just know that there is a cap on the number of kids who can join your self-paced or live lesson. So you can't post the same self-paced in every class and expect kids to get to it. You have to regenerate a new code for each self-paced lesson that you want. Okay? So that's that link. You can take that into Schoology and either attach it to an assignment block or simply add the link in as just a regular link in your materials section. So it just depends on whether you want to take a grade or you don't for it. All right, guys, that was kind of a fast and furious paced 30-minute session. Again, hopefully what you guys got out of it is, man, my kids need something to engage with me. I think I saw one or two things that I'd really like. And then it's time to either A, jump in with both feet and start creating, or don't forget, guys, book with one of us, book with your coach, and we can help you walk through this process if you need some extra help. And of course, this presentation will also be available for you to rewatch again. Do you guys have any other questions, comments? Jeanette, anything in the chat either?
No questions in the chat. Just know that, I mean, I think some people, the free version used to not have the student pace, but now it does. So that's awesome.
Yep.
And yes, it is 30 students and
Yep.
certain amount of space too.
Yeah.
So I put that in the chat.
I have a question. If I modify slides that I have, can I then share it with someone, or do they have to make sure that they add on the NearPod as well?
Okay, so that's a very, very good question. I'm going to come back over here. So if I make this slideshow and I want to share it with my people in my department, you can actually use the share feature and do the same way you would normally share it. And they'll get all of the activities already made, and then they can put it into their NearPod. Okay, so they'll get their own they'll see your slideshow. So either they need to go and file, make a copy, or they can use your original slideshow and put it into their NearPod. All right. All right, guys. Well, I'm hanging out here just for a few more minutes if y'all don't have any other questions, but I hope everybody got at least one thing today that they maybe can take with them and use in that live learning or that self-paced. So thank you guys so much. I'll check that Zoom roster and make sure I get you guys in as attended. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Naomi.